welcome everyone to Films with the Women in My Life. My name is Brennan, and joining me tonight are Jess.
What's up, guys?
And my mom, Mama K.
Hey, everyone.
And tonight, we will be reviewing an older movie, its 15th anniversary, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. This is a movie by director Michael Gondry. He has also done several other short films and music videos, but I think his biggest directorial for feature-length films, other than Eternal Sunshine, you might know as Be Kind, Rewind, The Green Hornet, and Human Nature was his first film, which he also did with the writer on this film, and that is Charlie Kaufman. And I think he's probably the more famous of the two. He is the writer for a couple Spike Jonze movies, Being John Malkovich and Adaptation. He also wrote A Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, directed by George Clooney. And then he's also directed a few movies himself, Synecdoche, New York, and Anomalisa, which I love that movie. It's a great movie. Have you guys heard of any of these other films or these two, this director-writer team?
Not even a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know them by name, but, Be Kind, Rewind, that makes sense considering this movie.
Really? I'm surprised.
Well, think the premise of Be Kind, Rewind is that they lose all the tapes, so they have to redo everything. That's not unlike this movie.
I guess when you put it that
everything.
way, yeah. I was thinking more like the production quality and
oh, no. The other one's more like Clerks, but this, this is very
which is crazy because that one
different.
was made afterwards. You'd think you'd get a bigger budget after Eternal Sunshine, but no. I think I mispronounced his name. It's Michel Gondry. He's French, so...
Michel.
Yes. So this movie stars Jim Carrey, Kate Winslet, Kirsten Dunst, Mark Ruffalo, Elijah Wood, and Tom Wilkinson are your principal characters. Our center...
And Jane Addams. I love Jane Addams, but her character's the same as...
in there. And David Cross is in there, but in
no.
smaller parts. David Cross is good. But Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet, I guess, are your two leads. And before we go into our spoilers, I'm just going to give a quick synopsis of the plot. When the relationship turns sour, a couple undergoes a medical procedure to have each other erased from their memories. That's, the basic plot. I think it's definitely a lot more complicated than that. So I've seen this movie. I think I'm the only one who's seen this before, correct?
Yeah,
Correct.
This is my first time I watched it.
Yeah, it's the first time So I've probably seen this a couple, almost a dozen times. And watching it this time, yeah.
Did you say a dozen or 1,000?
No, not 1,000. Not 1,000. Close to a dozen.
'cause,
I don't think I've seen any movie 1,000 times. Maybe Babe, but
Yes, I can concur. You did see Babe 1,000
that was
times.
the only movie I watched for the first couple years of my life. But so
Explains a lot.
yeah, seriously. Before we get into spoilers, if you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix right now. So if you have any interest in seeing it before we spoil everything about it, because there's a lot to spoil on this. It is a very all over the place kind of movie. Do so now. So the way we grade things here is by plot, characters, visual sound, and the overall resonance and feel of the movie. We scale those 1 to 5. So I'll start with you, Jess. What did you think of the plot of this movie?
So I gave the plot a 3. I think it was very confusing, but it did come together at the very end. I think after the first 30 minutes watching this, I was like, what the fuck am I watching? It definitely, yeah. And actually, no, that continued throughout the whole movie, but it was definitely more prominent the first.
That continued throughout the whole movie.
I actually texted Brennan at 30 minutes, and I said, what am I even watching?
Wait, didn't I do the same thing, too? Didn't I
You
text
both
at 30
did. You
minutes?
both texted me when you were watching it. You're at, around the, and we'll say that, around the 30-minute mark, they're like, I don't,
Yes.
what's happening? What is even the movie doing?
Right.
Mama K, what did you think of the plot?
I thought it's an interesting premise. I would give the plot, oh gosh, hard because I really wanted it to be different. So I'm going to give it like a 2.5. Only because
Mama K,
well,
savage.
Listen, I'm coming in hard here. Only because I guess I don't understand the first part of the movie. I mean, the very, very first part is just basically the end being repeated. The end repeats the beginning, I guess. In the middle, but there's not a middle that is cohesive. It's almost like there's a couple of different parts in the middle. So the part where it's all jinky and you can't really guess what's going on because he's trying to figure out whether he's figure out what's going on in his head because he's being his brain's being wiped, basically, his memories. And so he's trying to stop that from happening, but you don't really, it's so much cutaway and is there a flash sideways? I don't know what's going on here. And then it starts to take on a whole different, sort of oeuvre where then they're actually telling stories within it. And I'm like, okay, this I can follow. The other stuff is just like too jinky for me. He was trying really hard, I thought, to make it, I don't know, arty and interesting when the story, I think, is interesting enough. I don't think he had to do that. So
yeah, I think it was, I agree with that. Like, it was definitely hard to follow, and it would be a lot easier if the film quality was better, but the film quality sucked.
I didn't see that. I don't understand. I mean, it's only 2004. It's not like we're watching, like,
I don't know. I thought I was watching something from, like, the early 1990s.
Really? I'm surprised. I didn't feel it was dated that way. I mean, I think it holds up in a lot. So I guess I'm gonna be the champion of this movie. It sounds like. I really like this movie. In case the dozen views didn't tip it away. My plot is probably my weakest grade on this, and it's a 4. I really, really like not just the plot, but I love the execution. I love the choices of the cutaways and the flashes and the not being able to follow it very well at the beginning and then it kind of coming together more as you watch it. I guess we haven't really talked about, so the whole story revolves around a character named Joel Barish, and that's Jim Carrey, and he is like a really shy, soft-spoken, kind of awkward guy, and he meets in the beginning Clementine, who's Kate Winslet's character, and she's the opposite. She's super extroverted and kind of like free-spirited, doing whatever stuff. And they meet on a train to Montauk at the beginning.
Or do they?
Or do they? So that's how it starts. And that's the whole thing, is the way it starts, like it seems like they know each other, but they're clearly just first meeting each other. So that already feels weird. And then it starts to kind of, so this is what, I mean, I think the first time I watched it, I was probably confused too. It starts to tick backwards from there. The whole movie's it's kind of like Memento. It's kind of told all backwards. And
yeah, but Memento actually tells the movie backwards.
Yeah, but Memento's not nearly as good as this. This is much better than Memento. Memento's boring. So you get the two of them meet, then you kind of trip backwards into Joel meeting with his friends, and they show him a letter that Clementine went and got her mind erased because he ran into Clementine on the street after they had a big fight, and she didn't recognize him. And so he goes to this place where they have like an operation to erase selective memories to help you forget loved ones. That's like the business.
Or probably to help you forget any painful.
Yeah, probably
any
painful memory. So what they do is they have you gather up all the stuff that reminds you of them. You go to this lab, and this is where we meet Mark Ruffalo and Tom Wilkinson, who are like guys running a lab. Like they run this business basically and erase the people's memories that they want to choose to erase. And so this whole after you kind of once you understand that that's what's happening, then you start seeing all these flashes where Joel is sitting in the chair getting his memory erased, but then he's seeing himself erased, and then it's getting all cut together, and it's really hard it's like kind of flashing back and forth between stuff. And then, Mom, okay, this is what you were talking about, all the flash sideways. This is something you didn't like. This is what makes this movie interesting and like not the standard and boring and played out. I liked the choices here.
I felt like if it was filmed today, they would have made flashbacks in like a different filter, or they would have made the screen, I don't know, something different or fuzzy or something to indicate it was flashback or present time.
Yeah, I guess he could have done that. I like the reality bending of it, though. Like, where you don't know if it's supposed to, like, at first you don't think it's a flashback. At first you just think it's real. And then he walks in, like, on himself. And then you see him just, like, in a chair and you hear, like, voices that are omnipresent. And you can't really tell where they're coming from. All of this is stuff that's keeping me interested in trying to follow all the little things.
I was less interested in following them than trying to make it make sense in my mind. Like, I felt like I really had to watch to understand what was going on, and it was almost like the more I watched, the more I was like, oh, this is too hard.
You sound like Nicole.
I can't figure out what's going on, and I need something easier to watch, and it got easier, but I don't know, I don't know, it seemed really self-indulgent to me. Like, I'm going to do all of this stuff, and this is very, exciting. And
I think if you know Charlie Kaufman's writing style, that's definitely indulgent, self-indulgent. He's definitely been accused of that. His other movies, Synecdoche, New York, is the most self-indulgent thing I've ever seen. I cannot even. It's insufferable. But so he's definitely been accused of that. And I guess we talked about most of the characters. The only other two characters that are in this are Kristen Dunst's character. She's like a receptionist at this mind erasing company, and then Elijah Wood, who is like a lower ranking guy at this company, but is also trying to get with Clementine, Joel's girlfriend, but doing so by using like
in a most subversive way.
Yeah, in a nefarious way.
That brought a whole different dimension to the movie. I was like, as if you're already confused. Now he's in the picture, and you don't know where he fits in.
Yeah, and he's definitely like a weird part. You see him at the beginning standing outside like Joel's car when he's dropping Clementine off after their weird like first date, but not a first date that starts the movie off. And then you could tell it's him later in these flashbacks, but you don't see his face. You see him kind of like, they do these weird things with the camera where like every time you turn him around, you can't see his face, and like it's blurred, and it's all like distorted. So that's like, I mean, now that we've talked about all the characters, Mama K, what did you think of the characters on like a scale from 1 to 5 in this movie?
I like the characters. I would give the characters a 4. The interaction of the characters is a little more problematic for me. And honestly, Jim Carrey's character might have been my absolute least favorite of them all.
I thought that might be.
Well, and the interaction between him and Clementine, between Joel and Clementine, honestly, I just didn't believe it. It was too, her sort of, she's not an ugly duckling. They did their best to try to make her look odd and sort of maybe a little... I
mean, she's like damaged. Tweet. She's not like unattractive. She's just like... She's clearly got mad problems.
She's a whole mess of... There's a lot of words.
Yeah, she's a bag of cats.
Her. Yeah, see, like those words. That would work. Bag of cats. Never heard that, but that's what I would describe her as.
She's a bag of cats, yeah.
But I don't know.
He's like a bag of laundry, and she's a bag of cats.
Yeah, but he's like a bag of really old laundry.
Oh, yeah.
That just, it's, I have no interest in his character getting what he wants or getting, if he got brainwashed, I was kind of thinking maybe he's going to end up like super brain damaged at the end, but then he turns into a really decent dude, but that didn't happen.
I like their line that he says to the doctor, is this going to cause any brain damage? And he's like, well, technically this is brain damage.
I know. Like, the whole operation. Make me laugh too.
I really like that.
Just
I forgot
as an
that
offhand
line.
Comment, like, yeah, well, yeah, actually, yes.
He's like, it's no more than like a night of really heavy drinking. Like he's like, it's brain damage, but it's not that bad. Well, Jess, what did you think of the characters?
So I gave the characters a 3. I think they kind of evened out between 1 through 5 because I really liked Kate Winslet, but I did not like Jim Carrey. I don't think Jim Carrey in general is a versatile actor. I think he's just good for comedy, and that's it. So I think they could have had another actor that would have portrayed his character a lot better than the way that Jim Carrey did.
Can you guys take a guess at who was originally supposed to play Jim Carrey's character?
Colin Farrell.
No, it's someone more like Jim
idea.
Carrey than Colin Farrell.
Will Ferrell.
Not bad. That would be. I think that would be stranger than fiction if that was the case. But no, it was originally supposed to be Nicolas Cage.
No way.
Yes, it was.
Okay, listen, I could probably buy into that a little bit
I think
more.
I would like this even more if that's even possible. If it was Nicolas Cage, I always thought that they
Yeah.
were. I always consider Nicolas Cage Jim Carrey, but way better. Like because of their zany over the. I guess what do you guys think of Jim Carrey as an actor outside of this movie? Because this is a very different role. This is like his Punch Drunk Love.
When I see Jim Carrey, I think of like, oh, The Grinch, or I don't know, something like that.
Oh, the Grinch.
And then I'm just like, so what's
Oh,
he
it's the
doing?
Grinch.
Being like this mopey, depressed guy.
I think of him as from In Living Color, because that's like my time frame, and he's Fire Marshal Bill or whatever, the dude with the scorched face. And I mean, he's a comedian. He has comedic timing and comedy jokes, but it also he's not a comedian. Like when you said Will Ferrell, I was like, yes, because Will Ferrell can do a lot.
He can do a good amount. He's good at what he does. But
yeah, but this character was just, I mean,
I don't think it was
he
a good
was
fit.
cardboard flat. He was like Easy Mac, and I was like, bleh, who likes
Easy
that?
Mac. Wow, that's tough. So,
Well, I realized that maybe the millennials actually do like Easy Mac, but for me, it's not a thing. So.
Yeah, we love
Yeah.
our Easy Mac. I know.
I do
think
like Kate Winslet a lot. I think she played it pretty well, but
I do too.
yeah.
So she's
And I really liked her hair. I'm going to be honest with you. Every
Which
hairstyle
hair?
she had was all the hairs.
I like
I
the
liked
orange.
all the
The
hairs.
orange is probably my favorite.
Yeah, I was a fan of the blue. The blue was pretty rockin'. It was like solid.
The blue made her look real crazy. I thought like it was like dirty crazy.
Yeah.
She would have had to be crazy to try to hook up with this guy. I mean,
I think she'd hook up with anyone who gave her the time of day.
Yeah, that's the thing is I bought that she was like a damaged crazy person and he was like a total weirdo. Like I thought that they so I give the characters a 4.
no.
I really like
He's not a weirdo, though.
What you say?
He's not a weirdo. He's just a cardboard.
He's like a shy introvert. Charlie Kaufman, the writer, actually based this
No.
character off him, and he is the archetypal Charlie Kaufman protagonist. He is like this is how he writes many of his characters. If you've seen Adaptation or Anomalisa, like his protagonists are this quiet, kind of not saying anything. Occasionally says something kind of funny, but for the most part, just kind of awkward and a little sad. Like that's just kind of what they are, and I like it. I personally
That's also self-indulgent to have characters that are like that, because basically it means that, you know, you're turning somebody who's just like sort of a closet person into, this is a really interesting character, when in truth you would be like, no.
I suppose you guys see it.
I like that he was an artist. I like that he was an artist. I mean, I think that's, but artists still have a passion. I just didn't see any.
He's misunderstood. All right, like
By who? I mean,
he doesn't belong.
But he could be
in this-
misunderstood better.
I would understand his misunderstoodness better.
Do you guys like any
were
of the other characters? Because I
Nicolas
give it a
Cage.
4 based on the strength, because I really love Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet. I don't like Jim Carrey in most movies, other than Truman Show. This is pretty much the only thing I like him in. But the other characters, what do you guys feel about like Mark Ruffalo and Elijah Wood, or Kristen Dunst and Tom Wilkinson?
I really have like no comment about them. I didn't think they really stood out to me in particular. I don't think any of them were super significant or held any sort of like really big, I don't know, anything.
Yeah, I mean, they're not really fleshed out enough to really think about it. The Tom Wilkinson character, I feel like he's the grown-up version of Joel.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't get that.
A little bit. As I was watching him, I was like, he's very, like, disinterested in anything that's not all about what he's doing. And I like Tom Wilkinson as an actor. I would watch anything that he's in, I think.
Even after this?
And yeah, I mean, I'm gonna cut him. This is 15 years ago. I gotta cut him some slack about that. But the other character, the Elijah Wood character. So all I see him as that Wilfred character that you see the commercials for, where he's like a dog or something.
Where he talks to his
really
dog,
know.
yeah.
Oh, I don't know what happens in that, but whenever I see him now, I see him either like in his Hobbit situation or as a dog.
The dog.
And that's exactly what he reminded me of in this movie. It was like he was just like one of those characters, like, oh, there's Elijah Wood doing his stuff again, like Elijah Wood would.
How much wood could Elijah Wood?
Listen, stop. That's not okay. But I did like the part that I liked about the movie. I don't want to say that I disliked the whole thing, but yeah, it was. I don't need to see that again. But the part I liked about it is when they actually humanized it a little bit. When you find out that Kirsten Dunst's character and Tom Wilkinson's character have a past and it's been erased, and she finds that once she finds out that she's had a past that's been erased, she's mortified by it.
That's your favorite part?
Distressed.
Yeah, no, I like
that's
that
my
part
favorite
too.
part because it
really
it sets up the whole ending, because she winds up sending all the tape. She was the the assistant, the office assistant for the business, and she winds up gathering all the information and sending everybody the tapes because everyone made tapes of what they were trying to get rid of in their life. They made little cassette tapes, and she winds up sending those to the people who have had their memories erased. And I'm like, bold. That's yes,
girl
do that,
power.
because she was,
it's good writing.
Yeah.
It's a good way to have the ending we do with Joel and Clementine, is to have this. So I guess there's plot A and plot B of this movie. Once we get to the mind erasing, plot A, which we've talked a good amount, is Joel and Clementine in Joel's memories in reverse. So it starts off with them not being in a good relationship. Clementine's drinking a ton and being really irresponsible, and Joel's being passive aggressive and douchey. And it kind of
is he? I feel like he's not actually doing anything. But okay.
Yeah, that dinner scene of them where they're like just being that normal bad couple, that was pretty painful.
Oh yeah, it hurts. Like, it hurts me to watch them.
Yeah.
But like, that's the thing, is we see the relationship in the verse, so we see them get happier instead of like as it falls apart. We see them go back and further to when they first met, when they were happier. And then that's like plot A, and that's like a good hour of the movie. But intertwined with that is plot B, where Mark Ruffalo is the guy erasing the mind. He's like getting drunk and high with Elijah Wood and Kirsten Dunst, and they're all just like hanging out and partying. Elijah Wood is trying to comfort in real life Kate Winslet's character, Clementine, while Joel's getting his mind erased, but it's freaking her out because she's having flashbacks to Joel that she doesn't realize, because Elijah Wood's doing the same thing that he did to try to like woo her. And then we find out Kirsten Dunst's character had, like Mama Kay said, a relationship with Tom Wilkinson that was erased. And once she finds that out, I guess she has kind of like a crisis of her faith in the business and if what they're doing is morally correct. And that's how we,
and even personally correct for her. I mean, I think that's where it starts, and then she realizes that.
Yeah, no, that was a big
component to it.
That was a big hit to her.
Yeah,
Which I like that part too, because it kind of unravels like the whole theme of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So this whole middle hour, I would say, this is where a lot of the style of the movie is. So for visual and sound, Jess, what did you think of the visual and sound of this movie?
Oh, I hated the visual and sound. I gave it a 2.
Oh my god. Yeah, you already said it was like a movie from the 90s.
Okay, yeah, so it looked like it was a low quality production, and the sound
it's a $20 million budget, but all right.
The sound was like you had a soundboard to a cartoon. Like, all the music was something I could Google and find. There was nothing like... Okay, maybe when like a realization happened, there could be like a nice symphony in the background. But no, it's like cat chasing dog kind of music. It was...
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was,
so it's like a
I
number
didn't...
rating. What are you giving this?
I gave it a 2, and I feel like that's being generous.
Oh, damn! Oh my god. Mama Kay, are you on the same page?
Well, see, I see where Jess is coming from, because if you just asked me about the sound period, I would have to give it a 2 minus.
2 minus.
I don't like to go into... I don't like to say 1 because it sounds really...
You could say a 1.5.
I know, this is my lowest score
That
I've ever
also-
given anything, and I kind of feel bad, but that's...
Well, you guys can... if you didn't like it, you can tank it. I mean, I tanked Greta, but...
But I agree. I agree about the sound, and I think it... Another thing, I think it was purposeful. I don't think they went, shit, we don't have any sound. Let's go Google some stuff. I think it was purposeful to make it like that. And that was just a choice that I don't get. There's a couple of movies that I've seen that are lower budget movies who I feel like have pretty much the same soundtrack. And I was like, I don't get that. Visually, I'm okay with most of it. Some of it I really loved. I loved when they were on Montauk and the beach scenes with the snow. And there was toward the end, there was a scene with a big long fence, like a retaining fence that they have on East Coast beaches, and with snow. And I thought that was really great. And the house and all of that stuff. Some of it was a little pedestrian with how things fade away. I actually had Infinity War flashbacks during that.
Oh my god!
So I was like, no, don't go to dust. Oh my god, no.
Cannot compare this to Infinity War. It's not even in the same caliber of movie.
Visually, the same things happened. Go back and watch the beginning, not the very beginning, because they don't actually show credits until like 12 minutes in. But once they start rolling the first credits, everything vanishes in dust form. I'm just saying.
So yeah. Number
2 minus.
What was it? 2 minus.
2 minus.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys are both real hard on this. This is the first 5 I've ever given on any movie for any rating.
What the hell?
I love everything.
Brennan.
I love every visual and music cue in this movie. I love the music. I love how weird and like dun 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 dun. Like I love those choices. Love it.
No.
I think it works so well. It makes everything feel awkward and like kind of cringy, but in a way that it makes me feel like them, because I feel like they're awkward and cringy, at least in that first half hour. And then the music changes for me for the better as it goes throughout. It becomes a little more sweeping and a little more traditional orchestral. But the visual is really, I love all the weird cuts, and I love he sees himself and doesn't see himself. I love the scene when he's getting his mind erased earlier on, and he's in the doctor's office and everything's dark, and he's like looking around, and it's like a horror movie all of a sudden, and he sees like Elijah Wood's face, and it's all, the eyes are all upside down and twisted around, and the doctor's voice is distorted and blurry. I love it. I love the way everything looks. And yeah, the beach is beautiful looking. The beach house crumbling at the end is beautiful looking. I love how this movie looks and sounds.
I wish I had that appreciation. You make it seem like such a good movie.
For me, it is a really good movie. You guys I'm surprised at how much, I'm not super surprised, because I guess on a first watch, it's very confusing to follow. So unless you want to go with it, it won't.
Yeah. So after I watched it, I thought to myself, I should watch it again, but I didn't. But I feel like if I watch it again, I would have put more pieces together.
You would like it more. If you disliked it this much on the first, I guess Jess, not you as much, but my mom. If you guys disliked it this much on your first watch, you'll like it more on your second, I think. But
I think so too. I think you're right.
That happens sometimes. I remember watching Napoleon Dynamite the first time, and I was like, no.
I think everyone gets that reaction when they watch it.
And then when I watched it the second time, I loved it just as much as I didn't like it the first time. So it was like, but I don't see that happening in this film.
I could see more pieces getting put together, but I don't see myself liking it more. I think
that first half hour,
understanding it more.
Right.
That first half, right. Like I said, I've seen it a ton of times, and I might have liked it the most this time. I think I like it more each time I see it. But that first half hour, everything makes so much more sense, and all the little things they're saying to each other like really ties together. Later on, it all makes more sense. So I guess we've pretty much talked about the whole thing. The end is we talked about it a little. The end of when Clementine's getting erased in Joel's mind is their first time they met each other. They break into someone's house, but not really break in, because it's no one's home. It's a beach house, and she asks him to stay, and he leaves because he's awkward and weird and shy. And
also, they just broke into someone's house.
They did.
I don't feel like he's a criminal, where she could easily be a criminal.
Well, I think that's it. That's the thing. She'll do whatever. She's spontaneous, and he is extremely
spontaneous.
Not.
Is like an understatement for her.
Yeah. So criminally spontaneous, and so we see the end of her getting erased there, and before she goes, she whispers, I don't know if you guys caught this, meet me in Montauk, and then we cut back to the beginning where they both inexplicably take a train to Montauk, not near their jobs or anything. They just are the only two people going to Montauk, which is that beach on this day. And then it shows them like a quick cut to their second first date at the beginning of the movie, and then he's dropping Clementine off, and they get the tape from Kirsten Dunst because she's quit and she's sent all the records out, and they hear each other basically tearing apart the other person. They play each other's tapes, and they play each other just tearing apart the other person after a really long relationship, even though they just had a really nice first date. And obviously it's weirding them out, and she's walking out of Joel's apartment, and Joel's like, I want to try again, and she's like, you know how it ends, and he's like, I don't care. And then it shows them walking in like the snow, and I'm wiping a little bit of tears away because it's very emotional for me. So I guess I'll go first on the overall feel and resonance. It's a 4.5. It is it's not the most emotional movie I've ever seen, but it's in the upper tiers. I really feel.
Oh, I see what you did there. Upper tiers.
I didn't mean to. I mean, I did. I'm clever.
Yeah.
I really feel like it all summed up really well, and that last 10 minutes was, for me, the emotional journey I was hoping I would take, going backwards from the beginning. So, now you guys make me cry again by telling me how awful the feel and resonance is.
Wait, so actually, my resonance, I gave it a 4.5 too.
Oh, look at that! Jess coming through.
The only thing I liked about it is that there were a lot of lessons to it. You learn that your past kind of makes who you are, and if you were to delete it, you're not the same person that you were. Your experiences with other people kind of build on that. At the end, they meet each other for the first time, but since they've never met each other, they are learning. It's literally the honeymoon stage, and it's just how relationships work. You're in a first bad relationship, and you're like, why did I do that? But then you take what you learn from it and find somebody else. So I did learn a lot, and it did have a heavy resonance. I will say that. Kirsten Dunst,
that's a really good way.
Kirsten Dunst, she dated the doctor, and she just thought that was totally weird. But even when her mind was erased, she was still attracted to him afterwards. So that was kind of cool too, because
that's another part I really like. It's like that person, just because you get rid of them doesn't mean you won't fall for them again, because there was something there to begin with, and maybe you can do it right this time, kind of thing.
Yeah, no. So I learned a lot. I liked all the lessons from it, but that was about all that I liked from it.
Well, I mean, it's. Yeah.
Well, Jess might have just increased my score a little bit, because I was thinking about that same sort of thing about how maybe the way that she and I were approaching it is more a way that more women approach how they view relationships, and I don't know, how we're kind of conditioned to view relationships. But okay, well, I mean, this does not mean I'm watching it again. I'm telling you right now, but
no one's making you watch it again. What's your honest opinion?
Yeah, maybe this time watch it with the Bloody Marys, and it'll be more enjoyable.
Well, I'm thinking that if I watched it with this crew talking right now, that it would be beneficial for me, because when I'm sitting and watching it, I really just couldn't. I had such a hard time getting past Jim Carrey's flat cardboard person that. Yeah, I just had such a hard time with that it was really difficult for me to believe that whole relationship. And you have to buy into it, because if you don't buy into it, it doesn't mean anything.
Immediately from the first 20 minutes, I was like, oh, she's going to have a problem with Kate Winslet and Jim Carrey being an item. I'm like, and I could
It's not even that, though. I mean, that's part of it, but it's only because his character is so flat. I have to tell you, about 40 minutes in, I IMDb'd it to see what their age difference was.
It's a little.
That always bothers me in a movie.
It's a bit.
If it's too much. I mean, it's 12, 13 years, something like that, which is not, egregious, but this happens so much in movies where it's
I don't think they look I don't think the gap looks that big to me. I could tell he's older, but I would have guessed 7 or 8 years if I were watching, not, over a decade.
Yeah, the age difference didn't even occur to me when I was watching it.
Yeah.
That's just always something that's always in my head, I guess. And, yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, there's that. What else? Oh, I have a couple of
notes. You
notes.
didn't give your score on the overall feel and resonance.
Oh, so yeah, I'm gonna have to. I was gonna like try to go for a 3, but I can't break. I can't make it there, so I'm gonna do a 2.5. I can't. I kind of want to, just because I don't want to be a bitch, but that's just
No, you
how I feel.
gotta give your honest opinion. Yeah. So you had a couple other things you wanted to mention before we.
Well, yeah, I mean, we didn't talk about the fact that these things are all like linked around Valentine's Day, which I don't know what it means, and I don't think I'm going to have to see it 100 times to figure out what it means, but I think that Valentine's Day means something to either the writer or the director or both of them, that they've got some issues with Valentine's Day and maybe how love looks like, to how it's supposed to look like in a Hallmark moment compared to what it really looks like. But I think if that's what they think it really looks like, I just don't want to watch that again.
I think you hit it pretty right there, though. I think this is like these are two, shy, awkward, weird guys who got famous because they're talented, and so they made a movie where that's the protagonist, and this is how they feel relationships are. It's not some big lovey-dovey commercial thing. It's awkward and frustrating at times, and
but if it's awkward and you're going to have Jim Carrey, have Jane Addams as the Kate Winslet character. Do you know what I'm saying? Don't stick in Kate Winslet, who is, stunningly beautiful. You stick in a Jane Addams.
I mean, just they like we said earlier. She's beautiful, but they make her crazy. Like, just because.
Yeah, but she's not. I don't. She didn't come across as crazy at all to me.
Well, they're not gonna have him date the crazy cat lady who's like fucking on the corner, like screaming at cars. Like, they're gonna get.
Why? That's exactly who this dude would have ended up with.
Okay, see, now you're being too harsh on him. Because these are the guys who made this are two awkward, weird dudes who have also, dated beautiful women who probably also have similar emotional issues. I don't think it's like such a. I don't think the chasm.
Wow.
I don't think the chasm.
Wow. Are you writing fan fiction for them or something? Because
I know these. I don't know Gondry as much. I know Charlie Kaufman's background a lot, and like I've listened to a lot of interviews with him, and he's of all his characters he's written, he's very similar to this guy, and he has a charm that comes across to people. I guess you didn't get the charm.
No, that's not charming. That doesn't help his case for me at all.
You're just not the kind of person who would fall in love with Jim Carrey in this movie. That's the thing. I'm sure there are girls who would.
God, no. You think she's damaged?
I just don't think
serious.
I don't think the chasm between their good and bad is as wide as you're making it.
I think, like, going back to the Valentine's Day thing, I think the reason is because Valentine's Day is the day of love, and for two very different reasons, both characters crave love, or they really want it. Kate Winslet, character just needs someone to pay attention to her. Like, she craves that attention, whereas Jim Carrey, like, is depressed and lonely, so he just needs companionship. So it's kind of like the two need each other, but again, they're so opposite where in the end it won't work out, but in the beginning they're both like, oh, this is cool, this is great, this is fun. And then when like it reveals who they really are, then they hate each other.
I did appreciate the line at the beginning that Jim Carrey said about, all it takes is for a girl to look at me and I'm in love or whatever. Like,
why do I fall in love with every girl I see? Something like that.
Yeah. Or no, every girl that pays me attention.
Oh, that's what it is.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically if he was at, a coffee shop and the waitress smiled at him, he'd be like head over heels in love with her. So
I think that's the character. I think that's who that is accurate to who he would be, and I think you hate that person.
Yeah.
In real life.
No, I don't. I don't hate that person. I kind of relate to that person, but that person, you also have to be interesting. You just can't be that. Like that's one thing. You can't be like, oh, and now that person doesn't love me, and
yeah, maybe if it showed more of his history as of why he ended up that way, or like his relationship with Naomi, maybe you would have.
Can you remember the flashbacks? His he had to kill the bird, and the kids were making fun of him with a hammer.
That's like, okay. Yeah,
that was out of
like
nowhere.
A Christmas story where the kid like stuck his tongue out on some ice. Like that was just like.
I hate that.
Although I had to block that part because you know how I feel about that, Brennan. The whole Sarah McLachlan animal thing comes on and I die. Yeah, so, Daddy was cooking in the kitchen, that is going on, and all of a sudden I'm just shouting at the TV, no, 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 and he came in, what's going on? And I'm like, it's just, no, you can't watch this part, so.
I feel like we didn't talk about one of the most important things where Kirsten Dunst has that mini monologue where she talks about Alexander Pope, and then she quotes something where it's the name of the movie. I think if I were to go back and read,
almost forgot about that
entire passage, it would make more sense because I really don't know what he said, but you should probably go back and read it.
There's a whole site dedicated to Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind quotes. The people find this very quotable. A lot of the different little things they say.
Hopefully they'll find this podcast then, because it sounds like there's a lot of people. I mean, we're covering, you got A-Pope people who, people who love the A-Pope and all of that. So a big problem in the movie for me was that she puts gin in her coffee. I mean, that's a madman.
Okay, that's a problem for me too. I'll agree with you on a strike there. I don't want windshield cleaner in my coffee.
Wait a minute, it's not the gin that's the problem, and it's not the coffee that's the problem.
Oh, it's the two of them together.
It's the combination of the two of them.
Gin is the weakest spirit.
No one puts gin in coffee. Who does that? That's crazy. You're right.
I told you she's crazy.
I've changed my mind.
Yeah, you can see why she deserves Jim Carrey now. All right, so
and also, wait, I want to ask Jess. That wasn't okay. So we go back. There's a part that we didn't talk about where he's little. What's his name? What is the character's
Joel.
name? He's little Jolie, and he's 4, and he sort of lives under this kitchen table, which is very weird.
See,
he's Jolie.
Yeah,
he's
that
4.
was
he
a
lives
Jim
under the
Carrey
table.
moment where he acted like he was 4, and I'm like, okay, this is Jim Carrey.
Right. I feel like they put this in just for him, but I have to say that her dress was everything in that scene, and I was just like, this is the best thing ever. And then they were in the wash basin together, and I lost it all. So anyway, that was my favorite part, was the dress in the scene where he's little Jolie.
That's your favorite part of this movie, is Kate Winslet's dress for like 30 seconds.
It's the top 5. It's not 30 seconds, man. That lasts longer than I think you remember it lasting. Yeah, but it's a nice dress.
So I guess overall then, Jess, would you recommend Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind?
Not really. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Like, yeah, this is not a movie I would go through Netflix and be like, oh, let me watch this. I only watch it because we agreed on it. And I wouldn't brag about it to my friends either. I'm glad I did. Like I said, I learned some stuff, and that's about all I got out of it.
All right, and I figure, Mama K, do you recommend Eternal Sunshine of the...
Yeah, no, I mean, you'd have to be really high to want to sit and watch this movie. So, and then you could just, I'm sure it would, because it's way too far out of my wheelhouse. I mean, I like art films, and of course, you get the thing that says, if you watch this, you might like, and then Amelie comes up. Amelie is one of my favorite movies. So,
it's kind of Amelie-esque.
It's Amelie-ish if you're a dude. I mean, honestly, I think this was just not appealing for women at all.
So interesting.
Maybe guys can totally relate to the Jim Carrey character and how maligned that type of person is. I'm not sure. But, yeah.
I don't exactly feel like him, but I can understand. I understand her too, though. I understand who these people are and why they're together and what their problems are. It feels real to me.
Well...
My Netflix recommendation was like 62% of like a match of if I'd watch it.
I think mine was like 95.
Mine was 62.
Oh, does that come up? Because
certain
mine,
movies
I think
it does,
said 62 also. Oh, well, Netflix is.
If it's a new Netflix movie, it's always like a 98% match. But all right, so I guess
if it's something by them,
I'll be the lone recommend on this film. I mean, I've seen well over 1,000 movies, and this is probably a top 100. I really, really like this movie a lot. If you like, I think a good comp is like Punch Drunk Love. It's a really good comparison. Like a more psychedelic Stranger Than Fiction is a good comparison, where it's a comedic actor doing dramatic, and I think it works really, really well, and to the point where it's probably my second favorite Jim Carrey movie.
Next to The Grinch.
Behind what, The Truman Show?
Yes, behind The Truman Show.
I love that you said The Grinch. I love that.
That's so right. Jess's movie for Jim Carrey is The Grinch. Mine's Truman Show. Okay, what was yours? He was like a cop. What were you?
It's in Living Color, the TV show by the Wayans brothers back in the late 80s, early 90s.
I think that's such a good. All right, so if you think of your favorite Jim Carrey role, Which one is it closest to? That'll tell you whether or not you like this movie. If
it's Fire Marshal Bill, run.
Yeah, if it's Grinch, and if it's Truman Show, you will love this movie. So there you go. Those are your three. I think it's a good balanced perspective there.
Hey, at least you're not reviewing this with Nicole. Nicole would just slander you.
Oh, Nicole would be harder on this than my mom. I had to.
She would.
First 20 minutes. Oh, this is so stupid. I can't even like watch this.
would.
I don't know what's going on. I don't like
watching the
thinking in
whole entire
movies.
thing through.
I would have to just like pause and explain every 5 minutes, and she's like, "I don't want to watch this," which it sounds like you guys more or less agree with. But before we go to the end, I just want to read some of the media outlets that have considered this one of the best movies of all time. 21st century in the decade. Writers Guild of America puts it in the top 101 greatest screenplays. Empire has its 73rd movie of all time. New York Times has it top 50 movies of the decade. AV Club, Metacritic, BBC.
Oh,
these are all putting it in the top tier of movies of not just the 2000s, but of all time. So, I mean, yeah, sure, maybe all these critics and me are pretentious, but it's clearly, it's got a status. It should be.
I never once said it was pretentious. I did say it was
roll the tape.
self-serving.
I am maybe use self-indulgent instead of pretentious.
Self-indulgent, yeah.
All right. Well,
That's different. Well, you know what? It edges toward pretentious.
yeah, exactly. You could. Do you guys have anything else to add on Eternal Sunshine?
I'm ready to review the next movie.
Yeah.
So we'll talk.
We're being nice is not an insult, because that's kind of where we started in this movie. It's nice is an insult, and I'm like,
Well, she finds it off. Okay, whatever, fine. We've expressed our opinions on Eternal Sunshine. Coming up later this week, Jess and Nicole will be on with me to review Jordan Peele's second movie, Us. So look out for that.
Oh my God.
That's going to be good. Mama K would love
That's
to be
gonna be
on, but
great.
she's afraid of horror movies, so she has to watch them backwards and completely spoil and ruin them like she did with Get Out. She can't just go...
Hey, that's the only way I can watch. I can watch it from front to back now. So
Well, now you can, but
that's the only way.
for those of you who have seen Get Out, can you imagine, just for a second, never seeing it, it's got all this buzz, and you go in and you watch the last, 20 minutes first, just to make sure. Can you imagine going back and enjoying do you enjoy that movie if you watch the last third first? It baffles me that's an option.
That is the only way that I can enjoy that movie. So, and I wanted to. I like Jordan Peele so much. We should probably review Key and Peele at some point, because that's so fun. But I couldn't do it. I don't do well with horror movies.
We are the exact opposite. I love that.
Yeah, Jess will be on for every horror review. My mom will be on for never
Well, that's
any
good
horror
because
review.
then, no, exactly. It's a good balance then. I mean, things that are maybe not. I did go see the silent movie or
Quiet Place, and you said you were looking through your
Quiet
fingers
Place.
the whole movie.
Oh, I
Yeah, because it's not like you
basically
can
was
even
wearing
close your ears
a
because
mask.
you wouldn't even hear anything anyway.
Quiet Place.
Right.
Imagine her watching It, or something that has pop out scares.
No.
You're afraid of clowns too.
No. Yeah, well, I'm not afraid of clowns. I just don't like them, and it's that clown I'm afraid of. Yes. But,
Anyways.
All right.
yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, thank you guys for being on. Like I said, Us will be out later this week. We've moved to the point where I think we're going to be doing 2 movie releases a week, one on Mondays and one on either Wednesday or Thursday. So 2 a week I think is what we've decided on moving out, and we'll try to get at least 3 of us to be hosting each episode. So we've kind of settled on that as the format for now. So be on the lookout for our next couple episodes. And Jess, thank you for being on.
Thank you.
And thank you, Mama K.
Alrighty.
And until next time, everyone, this is Brennan signing off. Thanks for listening, and enjoy your movies.
Thanks for listening to Films with the Women in My Life. If you enjoyed being a listener in our life, subscribe to us on iTunes. Please leave a review as it helps more people find the show. Like us on Facebook at Films with the Women in My Life. Follow us on Twitter at FilmsWomenPod. And check out our website, filmswiththewomen.libsyn.com. That's filmswiththewomen.libsyn.com. Original music for the show was created by Ian Burke. Original artwork created by Nicole D'Alessio. This show is produced by Brennan Snyder. Thank you again for listening and enjoy your movies.